On a misty mountain pass in Kerala, there's an old, big fig tree with thick chain wrapped around its trunk. And locals say it's not just a normal tree, and the chain is actually protecting travelers who dare to travel along this route. But what exactly is it protecting from, and what lies on that tree? Tonight, let's explore this story, how how one act of betrayal during colonial times turned into Wayanad's most famous legends, the Chain Tree of Lakkidi. Every legend needs a protagonist, and in the story of Lakkidi, that person is Karinthandan, remembered in Wayanad's oral traditions as a tribal man. When British engineers in late 1800s and early 19th century sought a shorter route between spice-rich highlands of Wayanad and Kozhikode on the coast, they struggled through the dense forest, wild animals and nearly vertical ridges. Local knowledge was their only hope, and Karinthandan, who knew these hills like the lines on the palm of his hand, agreed to help them. According to the tale, after days of trekking through lich-filled undergrowth and slippery rock, Karinthandan pointed out the most practical path, the same path that later became known as the Thamarassery Ghat Road, the lifeline that still winds up in Wayanad today. But here the story takes a dark turn. Oral accounts say the British engineer was unwilling to credit a tribal man for this discovery. So, filled with greed, he killed Karinthandan on the very slope he had revealed. Some say he was shot, others say he was pushed from the cliff. Now, we don't necessarily have any official proof of any such tribal man living on these lands. So, whether Karinthandan truly lived the way as it is described in the legend, we may never prove. But the strength of the story lives on, because what came next bound his name forever to this land. As the story goes, after Karinthandan's death, many travelers who traveled through the same route started reporting strange sightings of a man following them. They heard loud whispers of asking them to leave the path. Fearing these ghostly incidences, the local leaders called a priest for the help. The priest, by performing long rituals, chained the spirit of the man to a large fig tree. Today, the tree is displayed with heavy chains, and some even have reported that the chain has expanded with the growth of the tree. Okay, of course, there is a scientific explanation for this. Trees can grow around an object left pressed against them. So, in this example, the chain may appear expanded in length as the tree has grown around it, giving it a perception that the chain itself has expanded. Whether you are a believer or a skeptic, the legend of Chain Tree is everywhere. Local tourism websites, travel blogs, and even the newspapers like Times of India all repeat the story of Karinthandan and the chain-bound tree. It has become a cultural landmark and a tourist attraction. Now, historically, British definitely had a reason to find a reliable path through these hills. Wayanad had become a stronghold for local leaders like Pajasi Raja, who resisted the colonial rules with help of tribal allies. So, a local guide helping colonials find a route through these paths sounds believable. But what's less clear is whether Karinthandan's name appear in any official records. His name mostly survives through oral traditions and retellings, passed down from guides to visitors. Today, if you drive through the Lakkidi, you will still see the chain tree. Some travelers say they feel something airy there, Others, they just snap a photo and move on. But either way, it has become a cultural landmark of Wayanad now, a mix of history, memory, and a legend. And that's the power of stories like this. They grow out of real events, blend with community memory, and become symbols that live on for generations. So, next time, if you're traveling through Thamarassery Ghat Road, rolling through the fog and forest, keep an ear out because the hills still whisper the story of Karinthandan and the Chain Tree. Okay, so if you enjoyed this dive into Kerala's folklore, don't forget to subscribe and let me know which other regional myth we should explore next. See you next time.